For this video, I'll be putting up two characters that have been altered from their previous selves. Crimson from Dragon Ball Heroes, also known as Goku Black, and formerly known as Zamasu. Zamasu, before becoming Goku Black, was a Kai in training who killed his master, the former Supreme Kai of his universe, Goasu. Zamasu taking his place and becoming the Supreme Kai. Zamasu's actions were fueled by a mix of rage and hatred for mortals, both this rage and hate being intensified after watching Goku and the Z Fighters compete in the Universe 6 tournament. Due to this, he gathered the 7 Super Dragon Balls and wished to switch bodies with Goku, gaining the body of a Saiyan with the soul of a god, and adopting the name Goku Black. Unlike his canonical version, where Goku Black is eventually defeated by Goku and Vegeta, this version of Goku Black was contacted by Fu, who informed him of his inevitable defeat. To prevent this outcome, Fu gave him a Timebreaker mask and allowed Goku Black to adopt the name Crimson. Then this same Goku Black goes through multiple different timelines to gain strength. And then there's Saber Alter, also known as the King of Knights, Artoria Pendragon, who was corrupted by the Holy Grail's mud, transforming her into a cruel, cold-hearted, and tyrannical person, which is completely contrasted by her original self, who was a kind and almost selfless king, a person that was willing to give anything for her people. This is why this version of Saber gained titles like the Dark Tainted Tyrant and Darkened Saber. Now I'll actually go over where they scale. Saber Alter and Fate Grand Order had the power to absolutely destroy and obliterate Altera in a fight, even calling her rather disappointing. Altera is the avatar of Safar, Altera herself being stated to be capable of destroying the Moon Cell without her regalia, the Moon Cell being a supercomputer constructed by non-human intelligence comprised of several layers that leads to its core. To reach the core itself, you will need to traverse all of these layers, its main purpose being to observe and document all aspects of Earth and its history, capable of generating infinite possibilities where impossibilities cease to exist. These possibilities are based on Earth and its first texture, the Moon Cell containing infinite parallel universes and an endless amount of potential futures. The Moon Cell can reshape universes and worlds at will, being able to create mathematical universes with infinite possibilities. We know it can create mathematical possibilities due to the far side of the moon, which holds complex mathematics, and Sakura herself knows of these mathematics as well, knowing of real complex and imaginary numbers. The far side of the moon having equal power to the Moon Cell itself, and Sakura speaks how it's logically impossible to breach the wall that's surrounding the Moon Cell's core, which is made up of 8 dimensions. So this wall logically can't even be reached by mathematics, and the Moon Cell's core considers this wall as fiction. And the reason I say this is how dimensions work in the Nasuverse. In the Nasuverse, higher dimensions see lower dimensions as fiction. Like say if you were to pick up a comic book, you know this comic book is fiction and therefore can read it, being able to see all the time in this comic book, being able to see all the comic book characters' life through the comic book. That's how higher dimensions see lower dimensions in the Nasuverse. People might say that all of this doesn't matter because the Moon Cell is just a virtual world. However, Bibi herself stated that the Moon Cell and reality are inseparable and indistinguishable from each other. Saber Alter is also stated to be capable of destroying the entire world. The world in this context is the Earth having layers of reality known as textures, with a deeper texture being the reverse side of the world, and being refuge of the gods and phantasmal beings. In the reverse side, the laws and rules of the first texture don't apply to them. This realm holding the true form of the gods, which are higher dimensional and conceptual beings. In the reverse side of the world, there's something known as the imaginary number space, or void space. Void space encompassing every possibility along with all logical coordinates, meaning it holds all logical spaces. The definition of that will be put on screen. This also means that a logical space refers to moral realism, moral realism being the idea that all possible worlds exist simultaneously without contradicting each other. The gods in the reverse side of the world also transcend the universe entirely, as no matter how much a heroic spirit transcends, they'll still be below a god. This means since the gods exist in the reverse side of the world in their truest forms, that the reverse side of the world transcends the universe. Now to recap, Saber could beat Altera, Altera can destroy the Moon Cell, and the Moon Cell can generate any possible mathematical universe. This would make the Moon Cell's possibilities at least low outerversal, as it can create all possible and conceivable dimensions, which would make it low outerversal. And this isn't mentioning the R of transcendence. Then there's the wall, which is logically impossible to reach. This would make it baseline outerversal, as it is completely inaccessible and unreachable via logical understanding, or mathematical understanding. And the Moon Cell's core would be just deeper into this, making the Moon Cell as a whole outerversal. I also said Saber Alter can affect the world, and therefore she could affect the reverse side of the world, which holds all logical spaces and holds the concept of modal realism. making it at least High Alter Versal Plus. Now we'll go over Crimson, or Goku Black. He can fight on par with CC Gogeta, who was in Super Saiyan Blue. To go over Gogeta, I have to go over Fusion for a moment. Fusion is the ability to fuse two different fighters, combining their powers and abilities, merging them into a single individual with heightened power. Goku and Vegeta fuse to become Gogeta, Gogeta being way stronger than both Goku and Vegeta individually, and this fusion involves the version of CC Goku and CC Vegeta. To get a grasp of how powerful Gogeta is, CC Goku is comparable to his counterpart Xeno Goku. This is the same Xeno Goku who can, just by transforming, affect timelines. There are infinite timelines. These timelines are expanding while already being infinite, making them transfinite. Each timeline representing its own possibility, meaning these timelines follow a version of the many worlds interpretation. The many worlds interpretation being an interpretation on quantum mechanics, and our multiverse, which is the idea that there are infinite possible universes with their own laws and dimensionality, existing independently from our own universe. This theory has been outright stated to be infinite dimensional by its creator, Max Tegmark. Now the timeline contains all these timelines. Then there's something completely separate from these timelines, known as the parallel quests. The parallel quests being inaccessible compared to these timelines. If even the slightest change in a normal timeline can create a parallel quest, meaning there are likely infinite parallel quests, each embodying its own possibility. Then separate from both the parallel quests and the main story of timelines, exist the rifts, which are far beyond that of the parallel quests, with there being potentially an infinite amount of them. Something demonstrated by Fu is that there are potentially infinite time nests. This is shown when he altered the history of the time nests to make the supreme god of time, Demigra. Speaking of Demigra, he is trapped in the crack of time. Demigra transcends history, which also means the crack of time should scale to him, as it was capable of holding him. The reason why I say he transcends history is that he transcends space-time. This is actually referring to the timelines, which are stated to be separate space-times by the supreme crack of time. So Demigra transcends all the possibilities within the 12 universes, including the main timelines, the parallel quests, and potentially the rifts, simply by existing beyond space and time. Demigra was also going to destroy all of history, including Beats World, which supports this line of scaling further. Beats World sees all of the cosmology I previously talked about as fiction, this being one of the highest levels of transcendence in the entire verse, and Xeno Goku in base form could fight transformed Demigra, so Goku Black or Crimson should be way above this level. To recap, Goku Black could fight CC Gogeta, who is a fusion of Goku and Vegeta, and that Goku can fight against Xeno Goku. Xeno Goku could affect the timelines just by transforming, with these timelines being